Here's your TechTickerTrader morning market news for Saturday, March 7, 2026. Don't forget to follow me for daily insights. Okay, you don't want to buckle up because it's been a truly wild week, and this weekend is kicking off with even more fireworks.
So what's causing all this turbulence? Well, look no further. Global markets are absolutely on edge as the world wakes up to a conflict that is escalating fast. The headlines are grim, and they are moving the markets in a really big way.
All right, so here's the rundown of what's happening, and it is moving at lightning speed. You've got President Trump drawing a very hard line demanding unconditional surrender from Iran. We're talking no negotiations. At the same time, we're getting reports that Russia is feeding intelligence directly to Tehran. The U.S. has already taken action, striking an Iranian drone carrier. And to top it all off, Israel is ramping up its own strikes on targets in both Tehran and Beirut. This is a complex, multi-front situation with incredibly high stakes.
And, just in case you thought the global agenda wasn't quite packed enough, in a classic "while I've got your attention" move, President Trump has also announced that, Cuba is next, just to keep everyone on their toes this weekend. Okay, so what does all this geopolitical chaos actually mean for the markets? I mean, more importantly, how is this hitting your wallet? Let's break down the economic fallout and actually look at the numbers.
Wow, the Dow plunged 785 points. That is a major sell-off as uncertainty just grips the market. Investors are clearly spooked, and they are heading for the exits in a big way.
And a primary driver of that fear? You're looking at it. Crude oil jumped a massive 10%. This chart perfectly shows the direct impact of messing with global supply chains. With the conflict escalating over in the Middle East, oil prices are now just roaring towards $90 a barrel. But the pain isn't just at the pump or on Wall Street. In what was a major shock to the system, the February payrolls report just landed, and the U.S. economy actually lost 92,000 jobs. That's a huge miss, and it tells us the economic strain is hitting Main Street, and it's hitting hard.
And of course, the direct consequence of all those job losses, the unemployment rate has now ticked up to 4.4%. Definitely not the direction anyone wanted to see that number going.
But here's where the story gets a little more complex, because in all this chaos, some stocks aren't just surviving, they are actively thriving. It's a classic story of winners and losers. And this slide really illustrates what we're calling the Great Pivot. While the broader market, as you can see on the left, is just bleeding red, look at where the cash is flowing. Savvy investors are rotating out of the general market and into very specific sectors. Big tech names like Nvidia and Microsoft, and, crucially, defense stocks. And the poster child for this whole pivot? Palantir. The military tech company saw its stock surge an incredible 15% this week alone. I mean, in a sea of red, that is a massive green flag. So why? What's going on? Well, it all starts with some bad news for one of their big rivals. The Pentagon just dropped a bombshell, blacklisting the AI darling Anthropic. They've officially labeled its Claude AI a supply chain risk, which effectively bars government contractors from using it. That is a huge blow for them.
But hey, one company's bad news is another's good news, right? If you're Palantir, this is basically a gift. With a major competitor suddenly taken off the board for military contracts, it is fueling rocket-grade demand for their already approved technology. This is exactly why the stock is flying.
So while defense tech is absolutely booming, what about the rest of the sector? Well, it's a much different, much grimmer story. We are seeing some truly turbulent times for the tech industry as a whole.
On top of the market jitters, the U.S. government is adding even more pressure. The Commerce Department is drafting brand new rules that would require permits for NVIDIA and AMD to sell their advanced AI chips literally anywhere in the world. This is a major headwind for the chip giants.
And all this pressure? It's showing up in the job numbers. Shed over 92,000 jobs. This is a staggering figure that shows a deep restructuring happening across the entire industry.
And to put a face on those numbers, we're seeing huge cuts at companies you definitely know. Block, the company behind Square and Cash App, is cutting over 4,000 jobs, and the tech giant Oracle is planning to cut thousands more.
But here's the real irony behind those Oracle cuts. They're not laying people off because business is bad. No, they're in a cash crunch because they are spending billions to expand their AI data centers. Think about that. They are literally laying off people today to pay for the AI of tomorrow. And that brings us to our final and maybe most crucial point. Because despite the conflict, despite the layoffs, despite all the market turmoil, there is one megatrend that seems completely unstoppable. The AI revolution continues. And here's the proof. Even as public tech stocks are getting absolutely hammered, private venture capital funding for AI startups hit a record high in February. It's a total paradox. The public markets are scared, but the private money, the smart money, is doubling down.
So who's getting all that cash? Well, it's the biggest names in the game. Massive deals are being done for OpenAI, Google's Waymo, and yes, even Anthropic, which shows that despite their Pentagon problems, VCs still believe in their long-term potential. The race is very much on.
So what's the end game for all this investment? Famed venture capitalist Vinod Khosla put it pretty bluntly. He predicts that AI will handle 80% of all jobs by 2030. That's just a few years away. It's a breathtaking and, yeah, maybe a little terrifying prediction.
Which leads us to the final critical question that underlies all of this news. The market swings, the layoffs, the massive investments. In a world being completely reshaped by conflict and by code, what does all of this mean for you?
Something to think about this weekend. That's a wrap for your TechTickerTrader morning market news. Don't forget to follow me for daily insights.